Welcome to the Brady Bunch of Autism, your source for family, parenting, and all things autism and special needs. Created by our family for your family. Live from the Ed Asner Family Center. And now your hosts, Nava and Matt Asner.
Welcome, and my green screen's not working. My teleprompter's not working.
All day.
It's technical difficulties right away. Welcome to the Brady Bunch of Autism. We're back. And we're excited to be here, and we're thrilled. And Nava is not in the same location as me.
I know. Well, I think because we're the Brady Bunch of Autism, we have to go with the punches, and we're used to taking things day by day. And today was kind of a crazy day, and so we have to be in two places at the same time. But the show must go on, right, Matt?
The show must go on, and this is actually a great thing because I can actually look at you like I'm watching you. So that's kind of cool, kind of creepy, but kind of cool.
Well, don't get used to it.
Okay, I won't.
You'd like to take over.
I like having you right here. But I thought it was only fitting. that I have the background that I have today.
Right.
Because I have not done this show since for a long time. We have not done this show.
No.
I've got to say that my father, Ed Asner, passed away August 29th. And I have to say the outpouring of love and appreciation and the incredible stories that I've heard from people, from many people out there, has been incredible. And I've felt supported and uplifted. And hence we have a balloon house behind me being lifted into the sky, which was iconic for my dad, of course. It's just, I can't say thank you enough. So thank you.
And,
right, Nava?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that you and I have had this whirlwind of kind of, God testing us. And, you never should say that because God will test you even further. But to lose my mom and then to lose your dad 3 months later, we were still, wrapping up the strings of Amma's passing, and then Ed passed, which was overwhelming to say the least.
Exactly. And I got to say, Nava, I got to say thank you to you for everything you did to help me get through what I had to get through, because it was really difficult. Well, and I hope I was there as much as you were for me.
No, I was there much more for you. But that's life. I'm a much stronger person than you, and you needed more support. But it's definitely, I mean, I think, we've been together for almost 9 years and almost married 7. And I think we've been through more life changes in 7 years than most people face in a lifetime. That's for sure.
Indeed. And out of life change comes many things. And our guests today are proof of that. Some great things came out of a pretty awful change of life. And we're going to be talking. I
got to interrupt you for 1 second.
Okay.
I don't think it was an awful change of life. I think this show is very meaningful, and I have to cut you off right there. It's specifically meaningful for me because I am so connected to my youngest guy, who's a big guy. Eddie's just a kid, but he's 200 pounds. And our good friend, Feda Almaliti, and her beautiful son, Muhammad, who was only 15 years old at the time, were in a tragic house fire. And we feel very strongly, the people who are going to be joining us, we feel like it could have been prevented if we had had more tools in place for special needs families. And I think the real tragedy of this whole show, and what moved so many mothers in particular, is that our friend was safe, and she went back into the fire to save her beautiful son, and ended up dying with him, which any mother would do. But the goal is every year on this, horrific date, that we have, a kind of an annual emergency preparation kind of cry for the community. And so we're going to have Feda's beautiful sisters, Lubna and Maysoon, joining us, along with our good friend Kelly Birmingham, who's really spearheading the whole September 26th project. And Kelly is from People's Care Behavioral Center. And let's bring them on in, Matt.
Right. Just real quick there. Gonna bring them all in. Here we go.
Yeah. Well, we have so much to talk about.
We do.
Did you see how I had to cut him off? I had to just cut him off on that one.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome. And I'd love you guys to introduce yourselves and to explain to our audience why this project is so important and why we have to, as a community, make sure that it never happens again. Maysoon, do you want to start?
So my name is Maysoon Sala. I was living with my sister at the time, with my daughter Anais, and I was there when it happened. My daughter's she was 12, but she's obviously, she wasn't autistic, and she alerted us that there was a fire by choking on the smoke. The smoke alarms didn't go off, and I was able to get out along with my daughter, and then Feda was able to get out, and I don't know if you want to go over the details now, but that's kind of like why I'm here today.
Well, I think it's important that we all discuss who Feda was as a person real quick. Let's talk about who Feda was as a person before we get into what happened and what eventually is going to happen. I was lucky enough to know Feda through work in the autism world for several years. She was this incredibly intelligent, vibrant personality that when she walked into the room, everyone noticed. And it was just a pleasure to know her and to see her work. She was an incredible advocate for people with autism, for moms, and for individuals with autism. She was incredible, influential person in the political world. She was an influencer. My nickname for her, I had trouble pronouncing her last name all the time. So my nickname for her was Almighty. So I used to call her Feda Almighty. But I'm sure you all have incredible stories about her and her fight, because her life was this great fight all the time. So does one of you want to describe maybe?
Well, let's finish our introductions.
Okay.
So go ahead, Maysoon. I'm sorry, my husband and I are a little.
No, that's just about it. I'm really Feda's sister, and I'm hoping that I can honor this tragedy and prevent it. And I'm kind of left with that. What I do personally is just feels of no importance, when it comes to honoring my family, and also as somebody who survived it. That's just my my full focus right now.
Great. And Love, now you go.
Lubna, your audio is not on.
Sorry, I'm Lubna. I'm another one of Feda's sisters. I want to take a second just also to, I know we've done it virtually, but to give you our condolences to your families on your losses. We understand that it's been a difficult year for all of us. So yes, for same as Maysoon, I mean, I don't like to talk about myself in that way. So I'm really here just as Feda's sister and to honor her and her legacy.
Yeah.
So that's, hopefully this is going to help with that and help prevent this tragedy from happening again to anybody else. Thank you.
Kelly.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So I'm Kelly Mckinnon, Birmingham, and I'm a board certified behavior analyst. I've been working with children and adults for over 27 years on the field of autism and other development disabilities. And about 8 years ago, I started on a project when I was at UCI Chapman University about looking at safety for children and first responders. And when I was, my great counterpart, Kate Movius in LA, I was in Orange County, California. And when I started doing trainings with first responders, what I realized were there were times when first responders were going to do whatever they were innately trained to do. And that a lot of times, if families shared specific information with their local first responder, and were prepared and connected to the police and fire in their community, that marriage together seemed to be much more effective in having everyone prepared. And I knew Feda from afar. I fangirled her. Anyone who knew her thought, damn, that's a force to be reckoned with. And so I just really, safety is very important to me for our families. And I just wanted to support the memory.
Okay.
I was a fangirl as well, because Matt actually knew her for a long time, and I met her probably a year before she passed. Wouldn't you say, Matt?
Yeah.
And we met at the Emeryville. We had an event up in Emeryville, and she came, and I had heard so much about her, and I had talked to her on Facebook as a friend, but when we met in person, it was like love at first sight. She was so funny. I think that's the first thing you remember about Feda. She was so funny. She was tall. She reminded me of my mom a little bit, that my mom was like this tall, imposing, loud, hysterically funny lady. And we were talking, we instantly start talking like, I have 8 brothers, so I tend to use a few curse words, and she's like instantly like, I fucking love you. And we just loved each other on site. And we were talking specifically literally the night before she passed. I was so excited about her podcast, and she had just been on our podcast, and I can't remember if it was Feda or her partner who had asked me to be on. And I was just, she was on top of the world. She was just like getting her stride, kind of. And we were talking about divorce and all this stuff. And it was just, I felt such a connection with her. But then for her to do what she did, it was like, that's it. This, because we all as mothers, especially with special needs children who are big guys, that you couldn't, I remember once my son had a temper tantrum, and I picked him up, and just from the act of picking him up, because he was so big, I tore my chest muscles. And that, that was the situation when you have a big guy that you can't physically handle them. And so one of the things that, I feel that we're doing with the September 26th project is letting people know, if you have a bigger guy like my son and Muhammad was, then there has to be a layout in your house that allows for an easier exit. And these are some of the things that the September 26th project is trying within each organization. And so Kelly, do you want to talk a little bit more about how each organization is kind of doing their own thing, but also, as a whole, we're working together to help support September 26th project and really kind of get behind this annual kind of campaign?
Sure. I'll speak, but Lubna Mason, please jump in at any point. The date of September 26th is obviously meaningful. It was the day of the fire and the passing, and the sisters were very strongly wanting to memorialize that date for everyone, and have sort of selfishly chosen to take that date and try to make it a national date where families themselves can take a look at, is their family and household prepared in the event of a fire? The website has sort of like the main 5 tips that families need to do to be prepared. And I'll certainly let them speak because it's their story to tell. But if everyone just remembered September 26th, are your fire alarms working, right? Are they connected if possible? Do you have working fire extinguishers? Do you have an exit plan? And I know the hope is that children's bedrooms can be on the first floor, easier exit than on the second floor. And then also, do you have a meeting spot? And so we've sort of taken those basic principles and tips and put them on our website. And the thought would be that, one, there are partners such as you guys. Thank you so much for inviting us here, but that you would help us by partnering and sharing the word to all families, other organizations, providers, to remember September 26th and the meaning that it has behind that, to check. Because I know I've heard a lot of parents say, and I think, Nav, I even heard you say this. So like the last thing you're thinking about as a parent of a child with autism, particularly if they are quite severely impacted, is, are your fire extinguishers working and your fire alarms working? And I remember you saying that in one of our meetings, and I thought, well, that's the power of the date of September 26th, is letting that legacy go on as a motivator to say, like, yeah, I need to do that. And then our other hope is that other organizations not only partner to get the word out, but partner to talk about ABA providers and other providers working with children, that we also make this a part of what we're doing. And I can tell you, as an ABA provider, a lot of companies and organizations don't think about the safetyness in the home. And so we really want ABA providers, because we spend so much time in children's homes or centers like your center, to helping families be aware. Are you prepared? Do you have all those steps on the fire safety checklist on the website?
And we need days like this. We need days like September 26th, because even the smartest person in the whole world doesn't think about this stuff, or it overlooks it. And that's evidence because, Feda was a pretty smart person. Mm-hmm. So, I think I can even speak for myself and Nava that we have overlooked this in the past. This is something that, that we have overlooked. And so, having a day like September 26th is incredibly important. I'd like to show a video. I've got.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it'd be great if we showed the video. We did a great job.
I'm gonna share my screen because I don't actually have the video file, but I'm gonna share my screen. Hopefully this will work well, and we'll take a look at this, and then we'll come right back. Okay.
My cousin Mo was a really loving kid with severe autism. He was almost 16 years old, and he was a really big guy who was sometimes really stubborn. So I know it was very scary and very hard for my Aunt Feda to get him down the stairs. I woke up choking from the smoke, and I was screaming for my mom, and it woke everyone up except for Mo.
Well, a family was sleeping. Flames ripped through this Fremont home early this morning. Relatives tell us Feda Almaliti and her 15-year-old son, Mu, who has autism, died in the fire.
The impact that you've had on your son, on your family, on other families, on the field, that is a tremendous gift. And I know that sometimes you're like, I don't even have a high school diploma. Who am I to be doing this? Who am I to be writing these articles? But what I see is this kick-ass amazing person.
In an emergency, How do you prevent tragedy and protect your family from such a senseless loss and death? Our purpose is simple. Every year, on and around September 26, we'll provide advice, guidance, and reminders to families with children and adults with autism and developmental disabilities on how to prepare for emergencies, whether they are fires, earthquakes, floods, or any other natural disasters. We want your family, your kids, parents, and caregivers to be safe. Our website is designed to be easy to use and share, featuring both simple and elaborate steps you can take, so if disaster strikes, you will have the ability and the fighting chance Feda and Muhammad did not have. This response and collective effort is the act of love we have for Feda and Mu, and the love Feda and Mu had for anyone that touched their lives. We hope this will continue their beautiful and heroic legacy that Feda and Mu put into motion.
It was the only way we can take this pain and turn it into a powerful action that we hope will save lives. So please mark your calendars, print out your checklists, and check the tiny details in life, like fixing or checking if your smoke detectors work in the house.
She was a fighter to the end, and this was her last fight that we hope will save your life and the people you love. From their life's work to their death, they will never stop fighting for you and your family.
Because this is like an oasis of hope and love, because that's what you built. You built this.
My Aunt Feda was a very strong and brave woman.
I didn't want parents to suffer like I did. I didn't want one more family, to go through all those sleepless nights not knowing that if their kid's going to make progress or if they can get the therapy for them. I just didn't want another mom or dad to go through what I went through. I cared about the kids, but I feel like people forget sometimes the plight of the parents. It's really easy to look at a kid with autism and feel something. It's a whole other thing to look at their families and really understand what they go through. I don't feel like the greatest mom all the time. I really don't.
None of us do, right?
But I know that I do everything out of love.
Yep.
My kid, really.
Yep.
Like, I am loyal to that kid.
I knew you are.
And I
This is ride or die shit right
Yeah.
there.
That's my dog. That's my dog.
I realized caring for a child with autism or developmental disability is always a ride and die situation. And, the ease that I had in, obviously it was my daughter that saved us all. I was asleep and my bedroom was farther away from the smoke. So by the time I woke up, my kid would have been dead. Moo would have been dead. I would have been the last one. And it's like I had, if I was Feda, I'd just rather die with my kid. What quality of life would there be thereafter? But this is, I think we need, we don't want to just spread awareness. We have to be more aggressive in getting the hours that we need from the insurance companies to push this as a priority right after we teach them how to eat, use the bathroom. And now we have to allow them to, how are you going to teach them how to comprehend danger, what acts to take, the whole, also, even if you put them on the second level, if let's say your child has a problem with wandering, Moo had that problem. She had to do all these locks. So, and he would just run off. And so that's another set of problems. So it's not one size fits all. It never was. But, I was just having a conversation the other day with Amanda Kelly, and she was telling me she actually used this story to get at least 15 more hours a week from the insurance company. And so it shut the agent up immediately. Like, he couldn't fight it. Like, after that, it was like nobody can, who's going to be, reject that reality. And I think the way they passed was, ironically, such a Feda statement, because it really, she kind of, nobody can argue with that reality. And I think, before, I don't know, I just think that it was just so, if there's no perfect death, I mean, that's horrible for me to say, but my God, I mean, just the way that he went out continues to fight. Like, it was just,
So September 26th, that was last week, I think, or is that right? Last week?
Yeah, about
last week. Can we go through some of the checklists so that people understand what we need to what we want to alert people to, what September 26th is trying to alert people to? Let's go through some of those checklist items and let's let people know what we're trying to do here. So who wants to take that?
I'd love to, if we can share it from the website and we can maybe go in the fire. We could start with the fire and just kind of go through. It's really kind of easily spelled out with some further info links. So just for anybody watching, the website is www.september26.org.
I can share my screen again.
Perfect.
That's a great website. It's easy to remember. And
yes, september26.org. And
the thing is, you can, when right after it happened, we checked all our alarms. But as any special needs parent knows, when your fire alarm goes off and your kid's flipping out and screaming and holding their ears, you take the batteries out, you break it, you do anything to shut up the freak out because your kid's having a meltdown because the alarm goes off, because you're burning a plate or burning something on the oven. So that had happened in our house. We literally had taken the batteries out of most of our smoke detectors.
I think so many people do. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of why we put it as our first step. Personally, I also highly recommend smart devices,
right?
Like the Nest or any kind of smart smoke alarm. If you invest in that for your home, we know people live in apartment buildings. That's maintained typically, but you should still make sure you stay on your management company to check things if they need to be, or the batteries need to be replaced. If it beeps, replace it. Far too many people let this thing beep and sometimes just take out the battery and just stop it. And that's really, we understand now that, we always understood, but more than anything now we understand how important the smoke alarms are. And then, carbon monoxide detectors, also, again, apartment buildings have to have a mandatory, but in your home, you have to buy them separate. You can get, smart devices that cover different aspects, or get them separately. You can get each of these devices also very cheap. You can get them for $15, $20 at the most basic level and have them installed. So we hope that there will be other programs that maybe would allow to have rebates, or potentially in the future share some cost saving to people. But for now, the smoke alarms, the carbon monoxide detectors, the fire extinguisher. We understand the fire extinguisher at the time of the fire, I believe, was empty. I know they spent time fiddling with it. Fire extinguishers also have expiration dates. And so I believe it was also expired. So have a fire extinguisher, make sure they are available both next to, in your kitchen, and potentially in any place you grill or have any kind of fire pit situation. And then planning your exits out of the home, and having the child sleep on the ground floor. Moo was sleeping on the second floor, and it was just getting down the stairs and the smoke rising. We just can't recommend enough the ground floor. And then make sure you're familiar with the close the door initiative. So what that is that it's when you sleep, close your doors, close your bedroom doors. This helps prevent the spread of fire. It's actually a real thing. So we recommend for everybody when they go to bed to not leave their bedroom doors open, close all your bedroom doors, and to sleep that way. It's better in case a fire does break out. It gives you a little more time. And then have a meeting spot to stay safe in the event of a fire. And of course, register with your local fire department and law enforcement. It's highly recommended you register anyway to let them know that you have an autistic child, let them know your needs, and that way they can at least be, conscious if any emergency happens. And then lastly, have a laminated or fire-resistant personal information ready in case that's needed for emergency assistance or responders. And that's one of our checklists. We have a few others. We hope to be adding more content potentially as time goes by. So we really invite everybody again to visit the website at september26.org and spending time on the checklist. You can download them. You can also watch the video in its entirety, and you can leave a tribute for Feda and Mu, which we are posting on the site now.
Let's talk for a second about smoke detectors and carbon monoxide warnings. So those are, you mentioned they're $15 a piece, or, some of them are a little more expensive, or the combination ones are certainly more expensive, about $30, I think. A lot of families are going to have trouble buying 4 of those, to cover their house. Has there been any contact with insurance companies about, you mentioned rebates. Has there been any effort to talk to insurance companies about rebates, about offering rebates to their customers for making sure their smoke detectors are up to date?
There needs to be, and honestly, when it came, like if you were going to comes to Feda style, she would just ask. Yeah. Even if it's not, on any document, she just asks. And I think we have to just start asking. Also, there's a lot, check with your fire department. You'd be surprised. They actually some of them come out to help install. Some of them will pay for it. So I think, we just, we need to get in custom just to constantly ask. And that was, because I asked her, I'm like, why do you get all this for your son and other families can't? What's your secret? And she tells me, honestly, I just don't shut up. So I'm like, oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And I that's why I kind of use the word aggressive and asking and our expectations. And, I encourage everybody to use this story, to use, this scenario in all of the negotiation when it comes to insurance companies, because it will shut them up. And then Amanda mentioned, she's like something that we should have thought about, because she was also Mu's teacher, teaching them how to crawl. So because even if, let's say they close, in this scenario, let me apply this scenario. First of all firefighters will tell you, do not fight the fire. So have it extinguished in your house, but don't use it. Get the hell out of there.
I really wanted to say, I know it's not on our checklist, but my number one takeaway from this is obviously get your checklist through, get your smoke alarms up, get this. But if a fire starts and it's moving and it's raging and there are flames, you need to leave immediately.
And don't open the windows and doors, because that's
people scramble to get things, to grab what you're thinking, the time goes quickly. The smoke is what kills people. And therefore, there wasn't really a way for us to put this in the checklist in a way. But the reality is that all of these things are to give you time to leave as quickly as possible, not to fight it. That's not, people want to protect their belongings. People want this, I need this thing. I understand. I've been in emergency situations myself. And since this has happened, our fire alarms go off, and we all have PTSD now.
Yeah.
But I will always, until the day I die, if I see people and tell them, if you hear alarms and you ascertain and there's a fire and you see actual flames and you are not actively able to get a fire extinguisher out, leave.
Yeah.
Have your things in one place if you feel like you're afraid to leave without them, certain things. But otherwise, the time it took, apparently, according to the fire department, the fire was so fully evolved that there was just there was no response that they could have had
Yeah.
as the residents that would have changed that fire situation. So
Right.
the whole focus should have been on evacuate.
And let's go with that for a second, because let's talk about drills, because that's one thing that I think everyone should do. And I'm just thinking right now, we've never done that at our house. We've never said, hey, let's have a fire drill. Let's just surprise everyone with a fire drill. This is what's going to happen. You got to do this. You got to do this. Now, some of our community, a large portion of our community is nonverbal and are going to have trouble going through a drill. So, Kelly, I'd like you to talk a little bit about how families can go through a drill with their kids and get this done so that everyone can be safer.
Yeah. So, the hard part of this is you're going to practice, but you don't know if your practice is going to work until you're in the moment, right?
Yeah.
Which is what makes this so challenging. But as a behavior analyst, I do feel very strongly that ABA providers need to, or other therapists need to partner with families to help teach this skill. And so, Nava, you were mentioning about when the fire alarm goes off when you're cooking and the stress that causes in our kids. And I know that with my own family situation, I know that happens. And I just wanted to comment that if that does happen, that is a perfect time to practice an excellence. Because instead what we try to do is like manage the meltdown, and instead we should say like, that signals an emergency.
Yeah.
Let's get out. Right. So I just wanted to put that part out there. I think it's always important to practice when you're not in a crisis situation, though, and put children in a situation where they're not in a ready to learn state. So the obvious answer would be to prep everyone and practice for the sound. Wherever you are, dropping, crawling to get out, and to go to the meeting spot. Like that should just be, and teaching children to respond, because they don't have to be verbal. They just need to receptively hear the words emergency, go to the meeting spot.
Right.
And then, and that could be for any emergency, now that you've sort of conditioned the get out of the house experience. And my thought would be, the first day of the month, why not we all practice? There are videos you can watch that show you how to get out. We know some kids are really great visual learners. You have an amazing art center. You guys could have kids write their own exit plans. Like Aviva could do a whole art project on here's your home and where you exit and what that looks like. And so if you include the kids in that process, the response is, I'm aware there's an emergency. You typically should assign one adult per child with autism to be dedicated to that child for them to get out, while another person might be dedicated to getting other kids out or items or things. But having a dedicated person, an ability to respond to the command, emergency, go to the meeting spot, and then practicing going to the meeting spot.
And really, I mean, I hate to beat an old, go ahead, honey.
No. I was just going to say that in our case, we have more than two.
Yeah,
so
right.
Juggle, but Lubna said something that reminded me of, like, literally, I'd say 2 weeks after Feda passed, I was alone in the house with Eddie, and something had dripped in the oven, and I opened the oven and just flames bursting out of the oven. And I was the polar opposite. I literally drug Eddie out of the house. I left the door wide open, and it didn't even occur to me. I was like, let the house burn down. I was terrified, but I felt like this, we all were so changed after that experience. Yeah. And maybe I overdid it a bit, but I definitely scared Eddie, and so he's a little traumatized by that. But the other thing I was going to point out is that it's really important, because we live in California. We're already teaching kids to go to a meeting spot in the house for earthquakes. Yeah. So I think it's really important, especially with our kids who need more support, that we differentiate between it's an emergency, go to the meeting spot, and it's not the earthquake spot. Because in an earthquake scenario, kids go somewhere in the house. Whereas in, like Lubna said, you want to just get the hell out, you know, leave your diamonds, leave your Rolex, just get the hell out.
But I mean, really, practice makes perfect, right?
Yeah.
In order for this to go ahead.
I think that should be our thing. I think everyone, you know, who's watching should just say, you know, you put a reminder on your iPhone and it's like the first of the month. Okay, we're going to do our first of the month,
Drill.
Drill, and make there is a testing thing that you can do on your, so they do hear the beep, and that could trigger the exercise.
And you know, it's interesting. I remember, I think one of the first time I visited a school that our son goes to, there was a fire alarm going on, and they were all in the hallways. They were going down the stairs, and I was very impressed by how they had everyone doing the right thing, and no one, it was extremely loud, but everyone was doing the right thing, and they were filing through the hallways in the correct form, and everyone was going downstairs the way they should, and they all met in the yard. And I talked to the teacher about that. I said, "That's wonderful. How did you get everyone to do that? That's amazing." And they said, "We do this every month. We do it once a month, and they all know how to do this." So if you do it, you will be safer. There is no doubt.
Right.
There is no doubt.
And we don't do this a year. We have to do this maybe 4 times a month. So drills, you know, as in the personal residence at least.
And the thing is, we all feel like there's always something more important in our day. There's always the email we have to get out, or, you know, you have to clean this or do laundry or whatever, and you're working. But nothing in the whole world is more important. And we all know if we could go back and you know, and change things, that we all would have done things differently. And so, I mean, make the time and really make the effort to make this part of your monthly family plan. Definitely. We're going to do that, Matt, no matter what.
We're going to do it. And we have to take ownership, because Nava mentioned taking the batteries out of the smoke detector. Everyone's done that. Everyone's done that. And you say to yourself, "Oh, well, I'm going to get these tomorrow. I'll make sure I put them back in tomorrow." And you know what? Tomorrow comes, the next day comes, the next day comes, and you get busy and you're, it's okay. It's okay. It's not okay. Get it done. Get it done. If you're going to take those out, get it done. So I just really want to thank you all for coming in. This was incredibly informative. And I think you're all doing an incredible service to not just Feda, but the community. And she would be incredibly proud of her name being involved in this at all. So if people want to go to
just wants to live forever. We just want to make sure she lives forever.
That's right. So it's September26th.org. Is that correct?
Yes.
And
September26.org. Yes.
September26.org. And you can get all the information there. I can't thank you enough for being with us today. You know, I hope you'll come back and share with us on September 26th next year.
Yeah.
Again, to alert people to stay involved with us.
And you guys have to, all 3 of you still haven't toured the center, so we have to make a plan where you do that.
Yes, we definitely do.
Definitely.
Let's do it.
We love your sister so much, and we will honor her, and we will never let people forget her or the incredible mother that she was. She's my hero.
We appreciate that so much, and we love you guys too. Thank you so much for everything you've done.
Thank you for being here,
Kelly.
Talk to you all soon.
Thank you.
Well, that was incredible. And
even the little things like keeping the door. Lubna was saying, keep the door closed, and we never do that because we're always thinking like, oh, you know, we want to hear the kids, or, you know, one guy's on the other side of the house, and maybe we should keep the door open, or the cats are coming back and forth. But the reality is that's a serious safety tip that I think very few people know about.
Well, and I'm claustrophobic, so I don't like closed doors. So,
wow.
So that's a difficult one for me. But
and I think there's a opening for some incredible Elon Musk, brilliant person who to create a fire alarm that's autism friendly, that doesn't make some sort of crazy sound. Maybe it flashes red light or something.
Well, that's the problem with fire alarms, is you want them to be alarming. It's called an alarm. So you want them to be alarming. You want them to get people out of bed. You want them to shock people out of bed.
Yeah. What if the fire? Well, no, that wouldn't work. I was going to say, what if the fire alarm just sprayed water everywhere? But I guess
yeah, that would probably be good.
Yeah.
But very expensive. So, well, this was incredible, and I thank you for thinking about having these incredible ladies on, because
we have to keep sharing the website and getting as many people and doing, go to your local fire department, ask them. I know that one of the things we're going to do at the Ed Asner Family Center is have our local fire department come and really speak to our community as well and give us some more tips, and we'll have information on that coming up. But it's really important to make this part, the safety checklist, make it part of your family to-do list, and make it just a part of your regular schedule. Like Matt said, once the kids got used to it, they knew exactly what to do. And every child needs to know how to get out.
Well, Nava, it's been an amazing 46 minutes and 28 seconds. Next week, will you be with me?
God willing.
On this side of me, okay?
Okay. I like the right side, though.
You like, this is the right side.
Oh, well, I like your other right.
Oh, you like the left side?
I like
you
the
do?
left.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that.
I'm just going to say one last thing. We have an incredible new in-person class that is a seasonal arts and crafts class, and it's called Fun Times with Aviva. And it's a class that's great for all abilities. She's going to be doing some amazing hands-on. Alexa, stop this music. That was funny. But sign up for information on Fun Times with Aviva. Thursdays, 4:30 to 5:30. Just reach out to Nava at teafc.org.
All right.
So the Alexa. Oh, I said it again.
Oh, there. Alexa, you want to close this out? All right. So for everyone out there, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here on our great return. And we will talk with you soon. Keep your seatbelts fastened.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.